Captain Graham here again. Many thanks to everyone for the fantastic response to my last video on the Bach Prelude for Lautenwerk. In contrast, I have something highly mainstream for you today, the first half of Bach's Partita No. 1 in B flat, BWV 825. Second half I'll present next time, splitting it in two to filter out my content a bit. There's not a lot original I can say since the partitas have been highly discussed by musicologists, but I'm breaking with my usual diet of the rare and obscure because 2026 marks the 300th anniversary of Bach publishing this partita. Anyway, here's a few of my thoughts. This partita was a landmark for many reasons. Bach was just emerging from the greatest project of his life, a cycle of choral cantatas 1724 to 1725, a cycle that ultimately lay unfinished. He was in his third cycle of cantatas, composing a substantial work for every Sunday and feast of the church here, producing in a 3 to 4 year period arguably the greatest single body of work in music history. In between he was coming up with masterpieces such as the Magnificat and St. John and St. Matthew Passions. Somehow amid all this, Bach found the creative energy to arrange his first ever publication of one of his keyboard works, his Opus 1. He published the first partita in 1726 under the title of Praeludium, or Keyboard Practice. Notably, this was a title that had been used by his predecessor in Leipzig, Johann Kuhnau. As the title page in German says, the work is for music lovers to refresh their spirits, and refresh it does. Praeludium was to stretch into a project that would be released in 4 volumes over the next 15 years. 6 partitas released separately from 1726 and then altogether in 1731. Part 2 comprised the Italian Concerto and French Overture in 1735, the collection of organ works that comprised Part 3 in 1739, and the so-called Goldberg Variations around 1741. When Bach released the first partita in 1726, at least 2 were already in existence at the time, as they are featured in the Anna Magdalena notebook. Possibly 5 or even all 6 had already been composed. Bach had already composed suite masterpieces in the shape of what we now know as the English suites with preludes and the French suites without. Yet Bach seems to have wanted to produce in the partitas superlative examples of the classic German suite, exploring in a comprehensive and up-to-date manner every nuance of style and texture. It was a self-conscious attempt to compose the greatest keyboard suite that could be committed to paper, breaking new ground in a form that was well explored by not only others but himself. The 6 partitas follow a unique key pattern. Every other suite is ascending in key, so from B flat to C minor, D and E minor, and the others descending key, B flat, A minor, G. And it should be noted that the original conception as advertised was 7 suites, not 6. Had the 7th been published, then according to this key scheme, it would have been in F, which is the key of the Italian Concerto that opens Praeludium Part 2. Now make of that what you will. Each of the existing 6 partitas opens with a different kind of prelude, including a Sinfonia, number 2, French Overture, number 4, Toccata, number 6, and massive 2-part invention, which he labels Fantasia, and number 3. After these, there's the classic German layout of Allemande, Corrente, Sarabande, and Jig, and he inserts what he calls minuets and other gallantries between the Sarabande and Jig. These include movements unique to his output, such as burlesque, scherzo, and passe-pied, as well as capriccio and rondo, giving the partitas a more modern flavour. Today I'll bring you the Praeludium, Allemande, and Corrente of the first partita. The Praeludium sounds similar in scope and style to the recently composed Walter Clavier Book 1 preludes. The thematic entries over a pedal are cycled in various keys in 3-part invertible counterpoint before broadening out at the end with thicker harmonies. The Allemande immediately presents itself as broader and longer than his previous essays in the form, and also resembles a prelude in its broad opening outline, a strong harmonic sequence in broken chords. Bach goes through a great variety of thematic material, much of which is mirrored in the second half, but interestingly, he doesn't go for the rhyming endings of sections you see in a lot of other suite movements. So each of the two parts ends with different thematic material. The Italian style Corrente, using 3/4 as opposed to the French 3/2 time, is written entirely in unbroken triplets, giving it a gigue flavour. However, the imitation is fairly lightweight and it's quite a homophonic movement built on broken chord accompaniments. As you'll see, I recorded these late last year on a visit to my hometown of Liverpool. I was quite rushed and only managed a couple of takes of each, so had no chance to re-record. Hope you enjoy my take on this famous work, where I've tried to preserve the dance-like rhythm where possible. And until next time, when I perform the concluding saraband, 2 minuets and gigue, bye for now.